Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed, lab-proven to work fast, and proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Your kids could get free or low-cost health coverage from Medicaid or CHIP. Even if you've applied before, they may be eligible now. Kids up to age 19 are covered for checkups, vaccines, dentist visits, hospital care, and more. And if they already have Medicaid or CHIP, remember to renew every year. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
And welcome to the Kulturecast. I'm Chris Stachiw, and we are kicking off Horrortober Down Under with a look at thirst. And I am joined by two people who you have heard on this podcast before, at the same time, a lot of the time. Miss Heather Drain.
Hello.
And Mr. Mike White.
I am here.
And I am here too to talk about some Australian horror films. And we are kicking off the month with 1979's film. I was going to say classic, but I cannot quantify that being the case. 1979's Thirst.
Vampires, perverted creatures of the night. This ancient evil is now a modern industry, backed by big money. Specialists in abduction, brainwashing, and murder.
We're simply a superior race of people who, over the centuries, have proved that the drinking of the vital human essence confers youth, power.
Chantal Contouri is Kate. She's young. She's in love. She's the next victim of thirst.
The thirst is in all of us.
Not in me! Not me.
The family as noble as hers, I'm sure the old thirst will not have died out.
David Hemmings and Henry Silva are the doctors of the Diabolical.
Welcome to the Brotherhood, Miss Davis. Baroness.
Their human farm is a living nightmare where science goes mad.
The dairy brings our lifestyle up to date. Each carefully selected blood cow is absolutely free from anti-tetanus serum, pollens, and antibiotics.
You can run. You can hide. But you cannot escape thirst.
So the film is directed by Rod Hardy. It stars Chantal Contouri as... If you can't tell, I'm not super excited to talk about this movie because I had a hard time following what was going on. But it's about a woman whose lineage is Elizabeth Báthory's lineage and a group of vampires, rich, affluent, white vampires, are trying to turn her into Elizabeth Báthory.
Which is one of the most heavy metal plots in a non-heavy metal film ever.
I guess, is Elizabeth Báthory the only, like, female vampire that that was, like, you know, in the public domain?
Yeah. Well, and she was a real person.
I don't know. I know that. It's just like you don't see Elizabeth Báthory anything. Like, it's not like Dracula, you know. Elizabeth Báthory has like her own, because it's a real person, so it's not like Dracula, right?
But Dracula's based on Vlad Tepes.
Sure. But like Elizabeth Báthory is a real person, not based on anyone. So
yes, but she's influenced. I mean, not obviously. I mean, Dracula's like the big king daddy, right? But
yeah.
But I mean, there's been films like, of course, Ingrid Pitt and oh God, why am I blanking on it? Damn it, the Countess.
Well, Daughters
Vampire
of Darkness.
Lovers.
Yeah.
No, Daughters. Well, she did influence Daughters of Darkness, but no. What is the Ingrid Pitt film?
I do not know.
Countess is Hammer. Oh, Shiza. She did influence. I love that off the top of my head. I can remember Borchak's Immoral Tales with Paloma Picasso playing Báthory, but a Hammer movie is the one, is the one escaping me.
So
apparently I like this movie better than you did, Chris.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, what did y'all think of the film?
I thought it was, and get ready for the rim shot, I thought it was a little long in the tooth. I thought it could have been cut down to hour and a half flat, easy. There's a couple times where I was like, okay, this feels like the end of the film. Nope, it's still going. So I was like, all right, this is a little too long for me. The opening scene was very confusing to me, this kind of cold open that they have, because I don't know when that's supposed to take place, because I think it's supposed to open after that scene, and then we go from there, because that was very confusing. So I can see why you were confused by this film. I was totally confused, and I still am. I don't think that opening scene has any right being where it is. I think it should be moved later in the film, because this should have a linear narrative, because it's already got a lot of like dreamy kind of things. There's a lot of playing with Kate's head, and I like that it's trying to do like kind of a gaslighting thing with her. At the same time, I kept thinking, wouldn't it be awful if she actually wasn't related to Countess Báthory and that they were just forcing this poor woman to drink blood because she bore a resemblance to her? But unfortunately, that twist never comes. So I felt I was more clever than the movie at times, but I enjoyed it. I mean, it's not as good as they changed their faces, but there's some good moments to it. It's very stylishly shot. I do have to say that after watching The Road Warrior probably 150 times or more, that the Brian May score, I kept hearing The Road Warrior all the way through it. But that's probably my problem, that I just kept picking up on these same instrumentations and same kind of phrasings that he would use in The Road Warrior, and just going like, I kept picturing the Warrior Max, you know?
So, funny story, I've never seen The Road Warrior.
Oh, wow.
Just let the air out of that balloon real quick and lose
that's
all
okay.
credibility on my own podcast.
Well, I forgot the name of a very popular Hammer film, and it is Countess Dracula. So
Oh, okay.
I hope that redeems me somewhat, but no, I really enjoyed this film. I liked it a lot. I thought the composition was killer. Like, there's just the placement of figures throughout the movie, and also the repetition of...
Your kids could get free or low-cost health coverage from Medicaid or CHIP. Even if you've applied before, they may be eligible now. Kids up to age 19 are covered for checkups, vaccines, dentist visits, hospital care, and more. And if they already have Medicaid or CHIP, remember to renew every year. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wonderside's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wonderside.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wonderside.com. Wonderside. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wonderside today.
Like, there's a lot of bird imagery that comes up, and there's almost sort of an undercurrent of free will, which you sometimes see in vampire cinema, but not often enough, and certainly not, I think, in such a pronounced way. The film that comes closest to mind, that to my mind at least, that kind of has that a little bit is Jean Roland's Shiver of the Vampires, but which also deals with family and vampirism too, as well as, free will. Of course, the big difference is in that film, vampirism is kind of like a cool alternative lifestyle, very bohemian. Here, it is very much, the vampires are the 1%. They are the privileged class, and of course, granted, aristocrats and vampirism, obviously, almost every depiction of Dracula has that. Most certainly pronounced, I think, in Paul Morrissey's Blood for Dracula, which definitely has a lot of commentary on communism and the aristocrats and the decadence of the bourgeoisie kind of thing. But I like the movie. I mean, is it perfect? No. I actually kind of liked the opening. I mean, I totally see where you're coming from on that, Mike. And yeah, there are definitely things in this film where you're kind of like, what? But I thought the opening was kind of brilliant because it's very classic Gothic, right down to her waking up, our protagonist, Kate, waking up in a coffin surrounded by lit candles to the point where, it's kind of like Castle Dracula meets the police's video for Wrapped Around My Finger. All you're missing is like Sting doing that weird dance around all the lit candles. But, so you have like this Gothic and you're like, what is going on? But then all of a sudden you hear the doctors talking in a VO. And so that juxtaposition of like science and modern times mixed in with sort of these Gothic tropes, I thought was really cool. I mean, I don't think it's always successfully pulled off, but I dug the fact that they did it, and they did something, I think, very different with the genre.
For whatever reason, I thought this movie was 1 hour and 52 minutes long. I don't know why, but I just looked it up and it's 93 minutes long. It still, at 93 minutes, it felt long to me. There were, like I said, there were moments where I was like, okay, this is the end of the movie. Nope. Okay, this is the end. Nope. I don't know if they were just doing fades to black or what, but I just kept feeling like this is a good place to end it. When it finally did end, and the ending that they have, I was absolutely fine with. I thought that it worked out well, but I don't know. I was having a hard time feeling the rhythms of this movie as I was watching it, I suppose.
Man, which is not to be confused with El DeBarge's Rhythm of the Night, that very underrated song about vampirism.
Well, the children of the night feel the rhythm of the night, and then pretty soon, everybody's fucking.
Wow. I think we just made El DeBarge way cooler than they ever needed to be. I'm pretty proud of that. Well, I'm curious with both you, Mike and Chris, like, when did you guys first hear about this movie? When did this movie first come upon your film horizon?
All right, listen, man. I think it might have been when Quentin Tarantino was talking about this as being one of his favorite exploitation vampire films.
Wow, that was pretty good.
Thank you.
It was really good. You know, it really evoked the dirty foot smeller himself.
Ew.
This is my favorite Australian road rage film.
You know what's funny about this movie is the first time I heard about it was when Jess suggested it. I had heard nothing about this movie, and like you know, Mike and Heather, you've both already mentioned, like, it's not that I dislike this movie. My issue with this movie is more of a it's a lot of style and not a lot of substance. I mean, I wanted more concrete things going on, and instead it's a bunch of just like gotcha and fake out moments. But to answer your question, Heather, the first time I had ever heard of it was literally like 2 months ago.
Oh, wow.
I think
cool.
I might have heard of this the first time during the whatever, not quite Hollywood, but it was on my radar when we were doing research for the Daughters of Darkness episode of the projection booth. So I watched a lot of vampire films at that point, and like I said, They Changed Their Faces was one of my favorites out of that whole bunch that I watched, because it's very similar, this whole idea of the upper class feeding on the lower class, and it was like a metaphor for the Nazis. You know, they're still in power, the secret hidden society are still out there running things, very much like the vampires in this as well. The way that they talk about, you know, we don't call ourselves vampires, we call ourselves the Brotherhood, and I'm surprised there's not like stock readings and saying like, oh, you know, cotton up is up 20%, and you know, because they treat people like cattle in this movie, which I appreciated as well. This almost feels like a precursor to me, and I know this one gets a lot of shit. It feels like a precursor to Daybreakers. I really like that film as well, where the vampires are in charge and the people are the cattle and the people are the ones who are hiding out from them. It's very Nazi Germany and these are the Jews kind of thing. But yeah, I liked that they were also doing this kind of fake out and much more mental games with her, trying to get her to accept this lifestyle and trying to do it by so many different ways, and that each of these doctors, quote unquote, that are in charge have their different tacks that they're trying in order to get her to admit that she's a vampire and to give in to this thirst that she doesn't even recognize it's in herself.
Yeah, well, and the cast, because the cast is so good. That was actually, I first found out about this movie back in high school. Weirdly enough, our ye old Blockbuster, which I miss the mom and pop stores. I don't miss Blockbuster, but my parents would go to Blockbuster, so you know, what can you do? You're a teenager. But they had a copy of Thirst, and I always would come like this close to renting it because it was like, you know, it's like, wow, okay, it's got vampires, and I recognized that David Hemmings was in it, and I already was, you know, had seen, you know, enough of his work to be like, oh man, David Hemmings, like, cool, and then, you know, but I never, for whatever reason, it's like one of those, I don't know if you guys had movies like that in the video store days, where there'd always be certain movies you'd almost pick up, but then you'd find something that kind of piqued your interest a little more.
Mm-hmm.
So Thirst was kind of like that for me, but, and of course, I wasn't sophisticated enough back then to honor the late, the great, pardon my French, Henry fucking Silva. The Silva's in this. Oh, come on.
Last time I saw him, he was in a film with Steven Seagal. It's true, he was. He was in a film with Steven Seagal. And he was great in that movie. I mean, he's better in this movie only because he falls from a helicopter and gets electrocuted.
Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24 related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Have you ever wanted to dive deeper into the horror movies you love? Beyond the Blood is a horror podcast for fans who want more than just surface-level screams. We do deep dives into the movies that shaped us, digging into director commentaries, behind-the-scenes stories, deleted scenes, and the special features that most people skip. Each episode is a love letter to the genre. We break down how these films were made, the creative risks that paid off or didn't, and the lasting impact they've had on the genre as a whole. From 70s slashers to modern nightmares, we celebrate the craft, chaos, and characters that keep us coming back. If you're the kind of fan who rewatches movies with the commentary on, or you simply grew up in the video store horror aisle, the Beyond the Blood podcast was made for you. New episodes every single week. Subscribe, let's dig deep. Welcome to the Beyond the Blood podcast.
Probably the film's best scene.
I felt there wasn't enough Silva in this film. I mean, you can't just give me a little taste of Silva. I need, the whole thing. Just give me the full Silva. Just him on screen as much as you possibly can.
We don't even get to see him drink blood. And
No.
I think that does, I agree with you, Mike, that to me the biggest weakness with this film was not enough Henry Silva. Because, Henry Silva is one of those actors. He is a gift. Like, the man could just be sitting there eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and you're like, God damn, look at him. Look at that man eat that sandwich. Like, he's got that kind of gravitas. And it's cool to see him in kind of a different type of role. He's, I do kind of wish we knew more about his character. I think that is, and it's probably kind of tying to what you both are saying about the film, is that we don't really ever learn a whole lot of background about really almost anybody. Even Kate to some degree, and we kind of know about her the most because she's our lead, but even, there's always a little bit of nebulousness going on in this film.
I was also very happy to see Robert Thompson, who, even as he's up walking and talking, his facial features and his eyes are so striking. I'm just like, that's the guy that played Patrick. Like, as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh, hey, that's Patrick.
Holy crap. Oh my God, you have solved a mystery. I kept looking at him being like, I know this dude. He is so, because who else looks like that?
Right. Exactly.
Like, that dude is so striking. And this is one of those films where even, minor characters, they did a great job of casting very striking looking people. There's one girl, and she's just a downer. We don't even know who she is. We just get, 2 seconds of her. But she looks like she could be straight out of a Ken Russell movie. Like, she's got that kind of bone structure to her. So I always like it when directors make choices like that. I don't know. Chris, did you enjoy the cast?
I wish that there were more of certain actors like David Hemmings, and the lead, Chantal Contouri, she's okay. She's not asked to do much. She kind of is asked to just, what it feels like most of the time is she's asked to sit in a room and listen to other people talk, and other people try to convince her to embrace her heritage, and I guess you could claim her destiny. But I think of everyone in the film, everyone is doing a very good job, but I feel like she's the weak link because her character, even with the way the film ends, you don't really get a sense that the journey that her character is going on, she fully buys into it, and that the character fully buys into it, if that makes sense.
I can see that. I thought she was, I had no problem with her. I thought she was good. I think part of the, my disconnect a little bit would be in the beginning, the committee, which are basically these doctors, and it's very telling because none of them have a first name. Everybody is Dr. I think there's Dr. Barker and Dr. Hodges and stuff like that. We don't even get to know their first names. And, but they keep talking, oh, she's going to be tough. She's a strong-willed girl. And so I kept waiting to see the strong will come in. I kept waiting for her to be she fights a little bit, but it's I'm like, where's the strong will? I wanted there to be more strong will, I guess. And, and especially because there's even a build up to where at one point she talks to one of the the donors. And if anybody who hasn't seen this movie and they're listening, you see like various people around what they call the farm. And they're all kind of dazed looking. They're obviously drugged and they're being basically sourced for food. And there's like a young man who is friends with one girl that gets taken away. And he talks to Kate, assuming that she fed off of her, like that she chose her, and she hasn't really had any blood at this point. And, but you're she's bothered, like clearly, and, understandably so, because it's just like, oh, it's so ghastly, and this poor man, and his poor friend who's probably dead. And then isn't he the victim when they set up Kate for what they call the festival?
I think so, yeah.
It looks like him, and I kept thinking, okay, this is where she's going to have a moment where she sees his face and has a memory recall.
Right.
And it doesn't happen. And I'm like, well, why pick him then? Like, that to me, like, I thought that was weird. It's, again, far from a deal breaker. I really enjoyed this movie, but I thought that was weird. It's like, well, you might as well just had anybody, Like, why specifically pick him if there's no payoff?
Mm-hmm. I wonder, too, if the farm, it felt so culty, and I know that Guyana had just happened November 78, and this movie coming out in 79. I was like, I wonder if this has any sort of influence. I did find it interesting, Chris, you noted that so many of the vampires, #vampires so white. There are a lot of white vampires, but then when they have those, like the festival scene, you have this really United Colors of Benetton type group, and there's even like the black couple that stops by on the road and wave to her as she's trying to escape and she's headed the wrong way. It reminded me kind of the end of Rosemary's Baby, where it's like, here's all of these people who are here for the birth, and now it's like, here are all of these people from around the world that are here for this, ceremony to bring Countess Báthory's lineage back into the fold. It feels to me like that represents, like, there are farms like this all over the world. This is definitely not just one small pocket here in Australia. I
loved that touch too. I really did, especially because they seemed a lot nicer than the committee. Like, yeah. Because especially we have this one female doctor who was giving me some major Nurse Ratched energy. Total. She reminded me of Nancy Parsons in Porky's. Holy shit, I could see. Yeah, the only thing that's missing, she's not like grabbing somebody's wang, through a hole in the wall. That's a different movie, but but she's like, God, she's so vile, and you really feel like she almost has it in, like, as a class envy, because obviously she's an aristocrat, she's part of the committee, but it's like Kate is a baroness. Mm-hmm. And she's just like so cruel to Kate, and go figure that somebody who's been forcibly kidnapped from their home and told, hey, you're descended from a long line of vampires, and it's your destiny to drink blood from the living. Go figure that they're not going to react to that very well initially, like, especially when it's her. Like, it's not even. Yeah, that's the other thing is, like, these are not sexy vampires.
No, they're like very boring bureaucratic vampires.
Yes.
And to your point, Mike, like, I think that the ideas that they explore in this movie are better explored in Daybreakers, because I think that is the most apt comparison. I'm not sure that there's a movie that is as, like, on the nose as it is with this movie versus that one, especially with, the blood cows, and it's like, okay, it's a cool idea. I honestly think Daybreakers does it better, but that movie has its own problems. But I'm one of those people that actually, I really like that movie, but it kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit.
Oh yeah, I was very fortunate. I saw that it was like every once in a while I'll do like Bad Movie Monday or Bad Movie Sunday, and then you luck into a really good movie. Like when I was doing Bad Movie Sunday, I happened to see Pitch Black, and I was like, oh, holy shit. And then when I was doing Bad Movie Monday with another friend, we happened upon Daybreakers because it looked like it was going to be awful from the trailers. And then I saw it, I was like, oh wow, this is great. What do you know, these two, I think they're both Australian films, happen to, actually really do a great job. I also was reminded of, I think it was the first Blade, when they had all of those people in like the Ziploc bags who were being pumped for their blood, and they were going to feed the, again, you had the old set of vampires with Udo Kier as one group, and then you have the up-and-coming vampires who are all a bunch of brats with like Donald Logue and Stephen Dorff, and they're like, oh, we're taking over. We're the sexy vampires. We're going to figure out how to go walk in the day and all this stuff. And I was glad, too, that with this film that the teeth are prosthetic, that they can walk around in the day. It's like all of the stuff around vampirism just feels like it's more about having that status that we're talking about, having that ability to literally suck the blood of the lower class. Like, because none of the other things of vampirism, obviously Henry Silva doesn't get up and walk around after he falls on power lines, whereas I would think, Count Dracula would be like, what the fuck are you doing? This isn't a stake. This isn't, sunlight, whatever. I'm fine. I can get up and walk around after this.
True. Yeah, no, I do want to make an aside, is that, as somebody who saw Blade, I think we all know who the true sexy vampire is, and that's Udo Kier. Come on. I got so mad when he died. I was like, are you shitting me, Stephen Dorff? And I mean, Stephen Dorff's fine. I've seen him in films I liked. I'm not shitting on Stephen Dorff, but come on, it's Udo Kier. It's ridiculous. Anyways, if Udo Kier was in this movie, he would be in a sexy aristocrat. Because it's Udo Kier, and that's he could be playing a homeless man, and I'm still like, that is one hot aristocrat. Damn.
Yeah.
Because it's Udo Kier, baby. But the whole thing of like these, like the prosthetic fangs is such a cool image, and it's so, because they look silver, like they're made of literal metal, that when people put them in, it just makes them look kind of off in a way that I think kind of works. It's kind of eerie, especially our first introduction to it at the first festival is like this old kind of blue-haired lady in little, horn-rimmed glasses.
Yeah, she was a little Dame Edna-ish to me. I wouldn't have been surprised if it was.
Oh, God, I know, that's all we missed. All we were missing is Barry Humphries going, hello, darlings, whatever.
By the way, another good casting thing is Max Phipps, who's one of the other members of the council. He's the Mr. Hodge of the council.
Oh, yes.
He is the right-hand man of the Humongous in Road Warrior. He's the guy who tries to catch the razor blade boomerang and gets his fingers cut off.
Holy cats. Oh my God. I love Australia. Can we just have a moment of just kumbaya in our hearts for the great continent of Australia? Australia's given us some cool movies and cool music and some great co-hosts on Projection Booth. So
it's true.
So yes.
I mean, the thing about this movie when we're talking about Australia is I always equate when we talk about Australian horror films or Ausploitation like we did last year. I wish this movie felt more Australian. Is that a terrible thing to say?
No, I don't think so.
Do you know what I mean?
It doesn't. Well, yeah, it doesn't really have the outback. There's not really any sort of Aboriginal thing. It doesn't feel like this is. It feels more universal, which I imagine that they were really trying to go for. Like, hey, this will sell overseas.
Anywhere and everywhere.
Exactly. And by doing that same kind of quote-unquote stunt casting of bringing in Hemmings and bringing in Silva, it's kind of like what they were doing with the spaghetti westerns and the Eurocrime films, where it's like, okay, we're going to have these guys come in, and this will lend our film some legitimacy as well as, not have as many of the accents. I'm trying to think if people have the accents as present in this movie, and I don't think that they are really, like, we're not choking on Australian accents in this film.
No, it's a lot of British accents.
Yeah.
Like, more British accents than anything else. Because, you have David Hemmings, you have Shirley Cameron, like, there's no Australian accent. Which, again, to me, it seems that this film was being made for American audiences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do want to say, I love the fact that they refer to their little donor centers as a dairy.
Yes.
When they're giving, the tour, it was like they literally call it a dairy.
Well, yeah, because the people are blood cows.
Yeah.
Right.
It's Yeah, it's such a, I don't know. I mean, it's flawed, but it's such a cool film. I mean, right down to like, at one point we have Kate manages seemingly to escape, and encounters like this little farmer who I guess is mute or doesn't want to talk to her. And she ends up stealing his truck, trying to get away. And,
which has the most painful scene in this entire movie when she goes to close the door of his truck and his fingers get caught in there.
Oh, my God.
Ugh. That hurts just thinking of it.
I know. Oof. And his reaction, it's like, I hope to God that was just really good acting. Because he seemed legit in pain. And that's the thing. This film, I thought had some good tense moments. Like that whole sequence of her, like the car runs out of gas and she's putting gas in it. And,
You know what it reminded me of? The fucking Prisoner. This whole movie reminded me of The Prisoner, but with like a horror slant as opposed to a spy slant. Because it's the same thing. They're like, we're trying to convince you to come do this thing, and we're going to gaslight you, and then we're going to have versions of ourselves stand in as people you know. Like, it feels very Prisoner-esque. Even down to the point where it's like she escapes, and you think she's going to escape, but the car doesn't have enough gas for her to escape, and they bring her back, and she, like, never leaves, ostensibly never leaves. Like, I mean, I guess she kind of does later on, but I can't even tell if that's real or not, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, because there are moments where it's like, oh, this is a dream. Like when she's eating the chicken and suddenly she's got blood pouring down her chin. It's like, oh, okay, this is interesting. I was enjoying those kind of moments.
I was enjoying it, but you know what I mean, though. Like,
hello, this is Chris Haskell from They Live by Film. For those that don't know us, Adam, Zach, and I, we built a podcast over the last 2 years that's a combination of film discussion from 3 very different perspectives, as well as industry interviews with the leaders in boutique Blu-ray and 4K community. We started with Deaf Crocodile, but over time we've been lucky enough to speak with Arrow Video, Severin, Mondo Macabro, Vinegar Syndrome, Radiance, Indicator, most of the OCN partner labels. It's been a blast. You can find us wherever you podcast, and also actually recently as part of Someone's Favorite Production Podcast Network. We hope to see you online.
Oh yeah.
You're never fully aware what really is going on and what's reality and what's fictitious or just in her mind or a hallucination.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, especially because at one point they feel like after they have broken down her will through a series of, it's either a dream vignette or some kind of insano simulation, like physical simulation, which means if that's the case, then it implies that she had sex with Hodges, which,
ooh,
yeah, like, sorry, girl, right? Like, it's, right, but then they're like, oh, well, the real test is if we put her back in her regular life on the outside. And I'm thinking, that seems like a horrible idea. If you guys are trying to keep this shit secret, which you clearly are, and you have this woman who's been semi-brainwashed.
Right.
And then we see her basically attacking, like, an assistant, but then she wakes up, and it's like, so was that fake, or did somebody hide the body? There's this whole implication, possibly, that her maid maybe was a part of this the whole time.
Yeah, that's what it really felt like to me, too. And
yeah.
How she's like, you have the thirst. You'll give in to the first. Yeah, like, all right.
And then the gratuitous shot of Chantal Contouri in the shower, naked, covered in blood.
Always a very powerful image.
Yes. I'm trying to think, like, what other, like, horror films do you associate with blood in the bathtub or the shower? I mean, obviously, there's Psycho.
I was going to say Carrie, but not the bathtub or the shower. A person covered in blood.
Yeah. That specifically, like, the bathroom.
Yeah, that's a good question. I can think of when people get attacked in the bathroom, but I'm trying to remember like a nice, other than Private Benjamin, where the dye comes out of the shower head, but I can't think of where we've seen the blood coming down.
I know, because it's one of those images I feel like I've seen in a bunch of movies, but then when I try to, like, piece together, like, what specifics, I'm like, well, have I seen it that much, or does it just feel like maybe it just feels like such a kind of perfect, sort of surreal, horrific image? But yeah, I mean, in fact, I remember the VHS copy at Blockbuster, on the back of it, it had a picture of her covered in blood in the shower.
You know what? It might go back to that blood rave that they had at the beginning of Blade, when the fire extinguisher, or whatever you call that. Why am I forgetting the name of the thing that sprays water?
Not water sprinkler.
Yeah, the sprinkler system. When it starts shooting out blood instead of water, and they're all just covered in blood and dancing to fucking Tracy Lords.
Oh, yeah, that's that movie. It broke my heart. It's like the Fredo of vampire movies for me, because it killed it. I need to give it another chance, because honestly, I know it's better. Actually, the ultimate film. There are two vampire films I hate with a firm, unforgiving passion. One of them is Dracula 2000. And the other one,
argue with you that.
Huh? What?
I will not argue with you about that.
Oh my God! Yeah, seriously, you have Dracula.
Come on, Johnny Lee Miller. What's wrong with that?
Oh, come on. I'll tell you what's wrong with that. You have Dracula, the king of the vampires, coming to modern times, going to like a music store, Sam Goody type place, looks up at the TV and sees fucking Monster Magnet, and he's like, brilliant. Are you shitting me? Monster Magnet? What? Between that and fucking Queen of the Damned having Korn, it's like, we have so many great gothic bands. You guys couldn't have picked Baja, Sisters of Mercy,
right.
Even Switchblade Symphony. Come on.
Cradle of Filth,
Christian Death.
Well, and if you made a movie like that today and they don't mention Ghost, what the fuck are you doing with your life?
Well, only if it's Ghost before that most recent album.
Oh, well, no, come on. No.
I'm not feeling it.
No.
I'm not feeling the new album. It's too poppy. If I want to hear Firehouse, I'll listen to Firehouse. And I don't want to listen to Firehouse.
I like Satanic ABBA. Come on.
It's not ABBA though. It's
Satanic
just like
Beach Boys?
No, it's like, at this point it's literally like Satanic Firehouse or Pretty Boy Floyd. It's like the worst. It just reminds me of like hair metal I don't like, as opposed to hair metal I do like.
I get it. I mean, you're not the only one who's not a fan.
I love like the first everything up to the last album I love. So, but anywho, the music in this is good though. Mike, now I think if I rewatch it, all I'm gonna hear is the Road Warrior. I did love Brian May's score,
and it's an ever-present score. It is throughout so much of this movie.
Yes.
Oh yeah, but it's good though. I mean, again, not having seen Road Warrior is a problem, but that makes it so I don't hear that though. At least.
Right. Well, and like I said, I mean, I've seen that movie too many times, so that it's just like, any sort of thing that is anywhere close to that, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, this is that. This is that moment when, the truck is turning around, or this is the moment when the feral kid is hiding, or whatever. Like any of those little points, I can just be like, oh yeah, I know this phrasing, I know this instrumentation.
Yes, I do think we should point out, in case if there's any listeners confused, when we say Brian May, it's obviously, or maybe not obviously, it's not the bassist. What, the bassist is John Deacon. I'm sorry, guys. I need my Sanka, apparently. No, classic guitarist from Queen. No, it's Australian Brian May, who's done several upon several film compositions. And it's not the bassist for Queen. Sorry.
I used to think that there were many George Millers, because I thought there's no way the guy who directed Babe also directed The Road Warrior. Fuck me, right?
Also the guy who directed Happy Feet 1 and 2.
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, George Miller,
yes.
Director of Road Warrior.
Same dude.
Yeah.
My mind is blown.
Yeah, it's pretty
weird.
weird.
Oh, well, that must be like George R. Miller or George Q. Miller. There's no way that's the same George Miller. But it was.
And you learn something new every day, I swear.
Mm-hmm.
I like parts of this movie, but I also think, for me personally, I'm not... If we're talking the original, like, kind of set of Universal monsters, like, vampires are not the ones that, like, motivate me the most. That story and what that story means about, like, you know, vampirism and stuff like that. Like, of those original Universal monsters, the vampire is not the one that I personally gravitate towards. I don't know about y'all.
I've seen a lot of vampire films, so I mean, this story and the the vampire tales and the Frankenstein story is probably the two that I go to the most.
My first crush was on Bela Lugosi, so that's really probably all you need to know for my answer. I'm a vampire girl, 120%. But I love all the Universal monsters. Like, I love...
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the 3 hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster. You know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week, and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
I love a great werewolf movie. I love Frankenstein. I love The Mummy, though I wish somebody would do a proper horror movie Mummy.
Oh, God. Wait, do you not like the 1999 Mummy, though?
Well, it's not really a horror film.
It's like Indiana...
comedy.
Yeah, it's like Indiana Jones.
No, I know, but do you like it?
To be honest, I actually only saw the second one is because I was at a drive-in with some friends. Is that is the second one the one with the CGI rock that makes Oh, that CGI was horrible.
Yeah.
Woof.
That CGI is terrible.
That CGI is like the bar by which so many films from that era are measured against it, whether or not they're terrible.
It's really funny. There's a group that does these things on YouTube where it's like VFX artists react, and they actually went in, since they are VFX artists, and they redid that scene, and they used like deep fake technology to fake the Rock's head. They used camera shakes. They added like particles so that it looks like there's actual weight to the Scorpion King, and all this looks 1,000% better, even though it's still garbage. But yeah, I would recommend, Heather, that movie is not very good. Just go back and watch the original of those 3 movies and don't watch any of the sequels. It's a favorite. It is still something that we watch over here anytime it's on TV.
Yeah, the original, the first Stephen Sommers Mummy is...
Yes.
It's the best Indiana Jones movie that has nothing to do with Indiana Jones. It's like the closest anyone has ever made to recapturing that lightning in a bottle of Indiana Jones. Because they couldn't even do it with fucking Indiana Jones in the 4th movie, obviously.
Oof.
I know you are not talking smack about Chuck Norris's Firewalker, sir. Wasn't that kind of Indiana Jones? Am I remembering that right?
I've never seen it.
I've never seen it either. I didn't even know I was talking
cover.
smack on a movie that I didn't even know existed.
Well, I was gonna say King Solomon's Mines, but I actually...
Ooh, no.
I know. Well, that's why I didn't. Except I just did, so whatever. But yeah, no, as a kid, like, my mother was a massive action movie fan, and so we watched all the big ones, but we watched a lot of the smaller ones, and Firewalker was a household. It was a drain favorite. I haven't seen it since I was like 9, so if it sucks, I was 9. But no, I'll keep that in mind for The Mummy. I do like Brendan Fraser. I always have. I think he's a good actor.
He's really good. Kevin J. O'Connor, is that the guy's name? Who is in almost all of those Stephen Sommers films?
I was in like most of Stephen Sommers' filmography.
He is so good. I love him, and I love him in that movie so much. I mean, everybody is in there. And Heather, just so you know, my wife is like, she's her and Brendan Fraser in that movie, but Odette Fair in that movie, he is very easy on the eyes.
Oh no, this is embarrassing. I'm familiar with him because he was in Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo.
Yeah. And Arnold Vosloo, before he got fat, he's looking really good in there.
Now, if you tell me Udo Kier's in this shit, I'm buying it right now.
No, I'm sorry. I can't go that far.
What if I told you that they remade The Mummy, but with Tom Cruise?
That's a hard pass. That's a hard pass. I'm more likely to watch Dracula 3000 than I am.
That movie was garbage.
Yeah, that Mummy movie is... Well, they went all in with the Dark Universe, and that was not a good look. That Dark Universe opening credit roll, you guys got ahead of yourselves. Big time.
Well, they're like fucking DC, where it's like, oh, we'll just introduce all the Avengers at once in a really shitty movie and expect you to care about the rest of them.
Excuse me, sir, $70 million later, and we're going to get the Snyder Cut, okay?
I know. Well, I know you use the hashtag every day.
Hashtag release the Snyder Cut. Hashtag justice for the Snyder Cut. Hashtag fuck yourselves. Okay? Seriously.
That's a hashtag I could get behind. I like that. That's very Iron Chic of you.
Yeah. Hashtag don't set a dangerous precedent in the entertainment industry by giving people what they want.
Give the people what they deserve.
They already got the fans of DC got what they deserved already. It's called Justice League by Zack Snyder, directed by Joss Whedon, and they can both go fuck themselves.
Man, this is like, now I know how, Mike, you feel like when Chris and I talk wrestling, because I am so dialed out of Marvel and DC. And I'm not trying to be a snob. Like, I have plenty of friends and family. My husband even likes some of it, and that's cool. I think if the piece of entertainment or art brings you happiness in this crazy life, fucking A, that's great. It's not my thing. But I seriously don't. I mean, when I read comic books, I would read like Neil Gaiman and like Daniel Klaus. Like, I'm total like hipster. I'm not proud of that. Dame Darcy's amazing.
She's a member of the Brotherhood.
I am. I'm totally gonna drink your guys' blood after the show.
Us common lowly folk reading Marvel and DC.
Yes, give me your
common
blood.
Scum.
Oh, an aristocrat.
Well, you guys don't worry. I'm actually vegetarian, so I'm just joking. I'm not drinking anybody's blood.
I do like the idea that they introduced, like, oh, this person has no, they're not taking Benadryl. You know, it's like no pollen or no allergens. It's like, what the fuck?
Gluten-free, baby.
Yeah, I got that keto blood diet.
Keto
brother.
I can't wait for all the paleo blood snacks to start showing up at Whole Foods. Like, bro, I'm gonna get so swole. I'm gonna get all my delts
eating blood.
Yeah. Oh,
give me some of that black pudding all day, every day. That's all I eat. Blood pudding. God.
Oh.
Yeah, just vampire movies just aren't my thing. I don't know why. It's just kind of weird. Like, I love that Bram Stoker's Dracula for all the wrong reasons. I mean, it's a bad movie, but it is so much fun. It is a big, stupid movie with emphasis on stupid. But it's fun. Like, I wish that there was more of that in this movie, like just a sense of fun, because this movie does kind of take itself a little seriously. But, Wikipedia mentions it, and I don't think there's any way we can't. I don't think there's any way we don't mention there is a little bit of like Soylent Green, because Daybreakers kind of is Soylent Green-ish too, with like you're eating the. I mean, in this movie, it's just taking advantage of the poor and the destitute, which definitely is not true to life. So.
Yeah, we're so lucky to live in a world where only 1% of the population has all the money and power.
How lucky of us.
Feeds off the working class. Oh, wait a minute. Oh.
So before we end this podcast, I do want to talk about the ending. So we're all under the impression that she just gives in at the end.
That seems to be that was my takeaway. I don't know, Mike, did you get the same thing from it?
That was my takeaway as well. It just took a little good David Hemmings dick to do it. I mean, really, more than that, breaking with her past and getting rid of the boyfriend, I think helped push her over.
But like, why did David Hemmings kill all those other people? Because they didn't agree with him, even though he was doing what they wanted anyways.
Well, I think he clearly was always at loggerheads with Dr. Barker. Because
which is a good callback to Dracula. I'm assuming that's a Dracula callback.
I'm assuming it is as well.
It would have to be, right? Like
anything with a vampire and the last name of Barker, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're thinking Harker, not Barker.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I think that yes, it's not a
Any
one.
Arker?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's not a 1-to-1, but yeah,
it's similar, but I don't know with the killing of Henry Silva. I don't know. I was wondering about that because they seem to be okay, but maybe my takeaway is maybe the Hemmings character is so. This is sort of his Machiavellian way of making sure he retains his power, and and getting kind of any outliers out of the way. Especially because he clearly, we find out, spoiler alert, that his method is, it's like his design is basically to, cut her off from her past life. But, I don't know. What would you call for a vampire? It's not dickmatize, fangatize. He fangatizes her. She gets some of that sweet Dildano fang action.
Dildano.
That's a Barbarella reference. At least I got that. I can't believe I forgot Countess Dracula. I'm gonna flagellate myself with my copy of every vampire DVD I have in this house. Yeah.
I usually just flatulate myself.
Well, I do have some bean tips, so I guess that's possible. I kind of wish the ending was a little better. I did feel like
I'm with you, right?
Yeah.
Like it is the weakest point. Like of the things I have the biggest issue with in the movie, I think the finale is my just big takeaway problem.
Well, especially because we have her boyfriend, and I believe his name is it Nick?
Derek.
That's how, but that tells you something. That is how much we see him in this movie.
Right.
Like, we see him at the very beginning. He pops up in the dream sequence where he may have had his way with her. It was probably Hodges. So, that's a mental image. And then at the very end. And that's it. We don't really get there's no reason for the audience to be invested in this relationship, to be honest. And in fact, it doesn't even seem super solid in the beginning because there's an allusion to him always working and being gone a lot. And so it's kind of, it's a complaint, again, not a deal breaker. I would recommend this movie and I enjoyed it very much, but I kind of did want a bigger payoff. Okay, if she's gonna accept it, we need that last shot to be her in full-on Countess Báthory regality, overseeing all of the vampires. Give me that vampire movie money shot. If you guys are aristocrats, I want to see some velvet. I want to see some brocade. Come on.
And I didn't understand why we didn't get that. I really didn't understand why we didn't get that. Because we get a fake out version of it instead.
Yeah. David Hemmings get some. I'm sorry. Mike, hearing you say some of that David Hemmings dick is my favorite thing of this episode.
I mean, that's what it feels like, right?
Totally. Yeah, we don't really get to see him used a whole lot. That would be my I think the weakest thing of this film. It's funny though, because I'm thinking, Mike, you said it felt too long. Do you think it would have, because obviously it's not a long movie technically, but it felt long to you. Do you think if they had fleshed out some of this, fleshed out some of the characters, fleshed out Kate's character a little bit too, do you think that would have made it feel less draggy?
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes you gotta go long to feel short. And yeah, had we known a little bit more of Derek and that relationship and stuff, I could see that. And yeah, seeing some of that inner strength that you're talking about with her, I would have liked that as well.
Yeah, agreed. Especially because she's a very, Chantal is a very striking actress. And I thought she was good for what the character's written, but it just seems like we see her just looking very frail the whole movie. She physically looks frail. She acts frail.
Frail and confused.
Frail and Confused, which is my favorite Richard Linklater movie, for the record. Well, actually, that's Slacker. But Frail and Confused is number 2. But yeah, and so I would have, I don't know, I would have liked to see a little more moxie, but also, if she's a descendant of the Countess, shouldn't she have more moxie? Shouldn't she innately, if she has enough of a lineage in her to have quote unquote the thirst, shouldn't she have that regal bearing? You know, like I would have liked to have seen something like that where, you know, like her power struggle with Dr. Barker, or Harker. I kept calling her Dr. Harker. I'm sorry. But like, you know, but there's a power struggle there, but it always feels kind of limp because she's not really fighting her. I would have loved to have seen more of like a match of the wits with those two women.
Well, and again, that's what the assumption was when you have one of the characters, the lineage is Elizabeth Báthory. I didn't get it. Because like you said, I mean, this film really needed the payoff that we did not get. It really needed some payoff because at the end of the film, you feel like the journey you've gone on with this character is in the last 30 seconds, she makes a decision that is completely against what the character has gone through up until those last 30 seconds. I mean, that's really what it feels like, is the character at the end of the film makes a decision that the character had spent the entire film justifying why she couldn't do that. Oh, and now she's locked in a room with David Hemmings, and there you go. Like that.
Yeah.
That's all it took? Really?
I thought for sure once she drank in that public ceremony or private ceremony that was it. You know, I really, that to me was kind of like one of those moments where it's like, okay, you can fade out here and we'll be done with the movie because she has admitted what she is and she's done this. It's not like, you know, we don't really necessarily need any more than that, but then they gave us more.
Yeah, well, especially because, like, there are so many other vampire films where you'll have a character that's kind of half vampire, but they're like, oh, his or her soul is still worth saving as long as they don't kill. And they don't, you know, I mean, like, Near Dark is kind of a great example, like, with the Adrian Pasdar's character, because he survives off of feeding off of May, which, you know, puts basically a target on his head with the other vampires. Like, you have to kill, you have to be able to feed for yourself. And there are other movies where it's more of a spiritual thing. But yeah, I mean, especially because, you know, it wasn't just her drinking blood, like, from a cup or drinking it more passively. Like, I mean, they had to nick the dude, but she drank it. She dove in there. And so, yeah, that's weird. I think also if we had seen more of an interaction with her and the Hemmings character, that, you know, that maybe insinuated some kind of attraction or weird bond or just something, then I think maybe the ending would have seemed a little less weird because it's like, well, if they already have this pull, you know, but you don't really get that. So it almost seems, I mean, David Hemmings is cute, but I mean, it just seems a little random.
Well, yeah, and then at the end, my assumption is David Hemmings is the new leader of the group, and Kate is Countess Báthory, maybe?
Yeah. My question is, like, where does... Because Hodges keeps bringing up that, like, if him and her have a union, it'll bring together the two most powerful lineages and families. Like, do we ever find out what his is?
I don't think we do.
Yeah. Because I never caught it. But I didn't know if it's one of those things where maybe I missed it. But I totally kept waiting for him to be like the Tepish Dynasty or something.
Right, something there. Yeah, I was hoping for something a little bit more.
It would be funny if his last name was Reagan. That's some American. Wow. That's probably too American. What? Please, like some blood sucking. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. That was kind of my biggest takeaway with the movie is just it just fell flat. I wanted more, and I think it's my fault for wanting more because we did kind of get that moment halfway through the film where you see her in the regalia, and I guess maybe the expectation was that we weren't going to see it again, and we shouldn't expect to. So. But the ending felt like a fake out because it's like, oh, she's getting away. And then it's like, dude, he's taking you into like another crypt. Like, why are you going down there with him? Like, do you think you're getting out by going underground to some like secret lair? And then your boyfriend is just there having his blood drained. Okay. And again, I didn't understand, like, that guy's still alive. Like, her boyfriend is still alive. So why didn't she just free her boyfriend and run? I guess because she realized there was no other course of action. I don't know. Again, it's just kind of blah. It just kind of happens. And that wasn't like a Bela Lugosi impersonation. It kind of sounded like it. But
I don't say blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I don't say blah. But yeah, that's, I mean, again, vampire movies aren't my thing, but this movie, there's some fun parts, but it really misses the mark for me at the end.
Oh man, I feel bad because I feel like I've been negative about this movie, and I actually really enjoyed it. It's and that would be my ultimate takeaway though, is I would, especially if somebody's into vampire cinema, like I could see if you're already not into vampires, this isn't going to be the film to convert you. For all the reasons we've talked about. But I do think if somebody's especially if they're into sort of vampire film and folklore, the different ways you can kind of use vampirism as a metaphor, I would highly recommend it just because it's different. And it really, especially from the time period, because a lot of the vampire movies in the 70s, definitely weren't anything like Thirst. I mean, there's some great ones in the 70s. I mean, like the one I forgot the name of, Countess Dracula. I'm still so bad. Daughters of Darkness, both Count Yorga films for sure, among many others, Martin. But Thirst is really kind of, they did try to do something different. Is it wholly successful? No. But I think anytime I see somebody do something with a twist that is legitimately kind of interesting and they're putting effort into it, then, it's got my respect.
So what would you give the film out of 5, Mike?
I'd probably give it like a 4 out of 5. I mean, I did enjoy it that much. Like I said, it could have been a little swifter and a little less confusing at times, but I did enjoy this one quite a bit, and I really love the look of it.
What about you, Heather?
Oh man, I'm so bad at these number ratings. I'd give it a 4.4.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it like a 3. Take the ending away, put a little bit more of an interesting ending in, that score would go up. But it's not the worst vampire movie I've seen. That's for sure, because there are a lot of really bad ones. This one is not garbage by any stretch of the imagination.
No, far from it.
But on that note, let's take a break and we'll talk about the next episode of the Kulturecast.
Out here is where it will find you. She was the last one to see it.
She's missing. It was an accident.
Now, he must face it.
Thought you might know what happened to her.
Alone. God has created it, and hell has given it a name. Now there's a new breed of terror. Razorback.
So in the next episode, we're going to be taking a look at another Australian horror film. We are going to be taking a look at Razorback, a film about a giant killer pig. It's a pretty far departure from this film, let's just put it that way. And I'm going to be joined by Cullen Gallagher and Rich Haddam, so I know that there's going to be probably more than enough to talk about with those two on the podcast. So until then, where can people find you, Heather?
They can find me on my website, mondoheather.com, as well as you can find me on Twitter and Instagram under, of course, at mondoheather.
Where can people find you, Mike?
You can find me over at projectionboothpodcast.com, where every week we've got a new episode going up, sometimes even more than one, what with October being just chock full of good stuff.
And as for myself, you can find me on Twitter at casualty_Chris. You can find us on Twitter at Kulturecast and at Kulturecast.com. Patreon.com/Kulturecast is where you can kick a couple dollars our way. We do have exclusive patron content on there. $1 is all it takes to get access to that content. Big thanks, as always, to Mike and Heather for joining me, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Hello and welcome to Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys. My name is Hunter. In this podcast, I'll be joined by a different guest each week to discuss a classic Western movie or TV show. I've been a fan of classic Westerns for as long as I can remember, and in recent years, they've become very nostalgic for me. I love the aesthetic, the tropes, and I love seeing different filmmakers' takes on them. At their best, they're incredibly entertaining, rewatchable, and some of my all-time favorite movies are Westerns. We'll mostly focus on Western movies made in Hollywood, but we'll also be covering spaghetti Westerns, and one thing I'm very excited to get into are Western TV shows. I've got some amazing guests coming on the show, film professors, historians, and podcasters. And Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys is part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, and many guests on the show will be from other shows on the network. Thanks for listening.